Hey guys, what's going on? Drewzy here, back again with another South Park Phone Destroyer video, and we are updating another video that was a topic that I did exactly, ironically, 6 months ago to the day that I made the first video where I talked about all the low tier cards considered within the game. And when I say low tier can mean one of two things. Number one means low play, as in not a lot of people within the high level or legendary arena in general play this specific card, and or the card just doesn't provide as much value as possibly some other cards do within the game. When I originally did this video, there were 38 cards considered low tier cards. That number has dwindled dramatically because in the last 6 months there have been a bunch of balance changes, and a lot of cards have maybe shifted up a tier in more usage, which I assume is something that Red Links try to do with a lot of the balance changes, to make it to where there is a more influx of cards that are within the game. Now, one of the problems that I think that they do on a regular basis that Red Links does is just nerf cards. I think instead of nerfing cards, continue to bring other cards up to higher tiers to increase play value, to where maybe someday there may never be this need for this video at all because there will not be any more low tier cards left. There are some definite low tier cards when I did that first video of that 38 that are now, in my opinion, considered to be some of the top cards within the game because of balance changes that have happened. One of those was PC Principal. PC Principal, remember, was a low tier card when I first did that video. He is now probably one of the top 10 cards within the entire game, if not the best or second best tank in this entire game right now. PC Principal has definitely, due to his balance changes, has hit that upper echelon. Standing Many Moons, when I did the first video, was considered a low tier card. He is now arguably the best or second best legendary card in the entire game, and probably a top 5 card as well. So changes have been made throughout the course of this game to better the game in the overall grand scheme of things, and you've seen this tier list drop. I believe it's now down to 28, and I will go through, like I did in the last video, go through each of the tiers starting in neutral, then go to adventure, sci-fi, mystical, fantasy, and then we'll wrap it up. So in neutral right now, Pigeon Gain, Man Bear Pig, and Tally. So Pigeon Gain and Man Bear Pig were originally in that low tier conversation. They are still down there. Tally is a recently added card. Still one of my favorite cards within the game, and I don't think it should be considered a low tier card. I think that's just due to play, not due to value. As you see, I have him at level 4. He's a staple in my deck. I think he provides a lot of value in a lot of decks. I'm by no means saying he's the strongest card within the game. I am not saying that, but I don't think he's a low tier card. I will say that, though, definitively, in my opinion. For adventure, Inuit Kenny, Outlaw Tweak, Buccaneer Baby, Medicine Woman Sharon, and Ink and Craig. Now, Buccaneer Baby will get shifted in the near future. I think that some of the mid-tier cards right now will fall down. Storyteller Jimmy is considered a mid-tier card. I would probably put him in a low tier. You don't see a lot of Storyteller Jimmy. He does scale fairly well. I do have him to level 4 currently myself. I think he may fall down a little bit. But Buccaneer Baby definitely needs to be considered a mid-tier to top-tier card. Why she's in the low tier, that is just idiotic. I think it's just maybe due to low play, and because 2 of the other Bebes are just a lot better, or almost in their own tier right now at this point, to where, that's why Buccaneer Baby's dropped down. I don't think she's a low-tier card, so I'm going to disagree with that, but that's just based on the information that I'm looking at here. And this is again from that South Park Phone Destroyer spreadsheet. I can post a link down in the description down below if you guys would like to check that out. This is based on their findings or their things. This was updated recently, just about 4 days ago, when I'm discussing and talking about this video, that this tier list was updated 4 days prior to me doing this. So for Sci-Fi, Power Fist Dougie, Ice Sniper Wendy, Gizmo Ike, Warboy Tweak. 3 of those were in there last time. I think actually all 4 of these were in there last time. I think Gizmo Ike is probably a mid-tier card. I think he provides a lot of value in the Silver Shield, in the lower levels of PvP. I mean, you're not going to see a high-level Gizmo Ike right now in the upper echelon tiers of Legendary Arena, but I still think he provides more value than that. For Mystical, you've got Prophet Dougie, Medusa Baby, Choirboy Butters, and Hermes Kenny. I hope at some point that they buff the mystical assassins in Choirboy Butters and Hermes Kenny. They are underperforming because they're epic rarities, they're hard to level, they're expensive to level, and there's a lot of better mystical cards that you could throw in and level up before you level up those too. I think I have Choirboy Butters to max level 3, and I almost have enough to give him to level 4. I don't know how much more I'm going to invest into him, however, because I really like some of the other cards within the mystical theme that I don't know if I want to include Choir Boy Butters and Hermes Kenny in that conversation right now. Medusa Baby was considered a top tier card at one point when she first released. She has been falling from grace, as I've stated in multiple videos, that now she is considered a low tier card because of her low rate of play. And again, because Blood Elf Baby and Robo Baby are a lot better as far as the babies are concerned, and there's better ranged cards with some of the balance changes. You've seen Ninju Kyle get a buff to health, and he is now performing a little bit better. Witch Doctor Token is not a... I think Cupid Cartman does a really good job and scales fairly well for a rare card, and he flies, so I think that gives him an advantage over Medusa Baby. So there's some reasons easily as to why Medusa Baby has dropped on this list, but the other ones, I'm not really going to argue too much about them being considered lower tier cards. Fantasy has quite a few lower tier cards, more than any other theme right now. The Amazingly Randi, Chicken Coop, Kyle of the Drow Elves, Transmogrify, Dwarf Engineer Dougie, Cock Magic, and Shield Maiden Wendy. Shield Maiden Wendy is one of the few ones. Her, Amazingly Randi, and Chicken Coop have gotten some kind of buffs here and there throughout the course of the last 6 months since I updated this, since I originally did this video. But the buff to Cox between Chicken Coop and Amazingly Randi still isn't enough for me. Amazingly Randi did also get a buff to his health. I mean, I think Amazingly Randi, if leveled correctly, could be a mid-tier style card. Transmogrify, you know, it's hit and miss. The fact that you will only affect one unit as a cancellation card and it turns into a rat at the similar level. You know, maybe that could be improved at some point in the future. Cock Magic, because it's the randomness of you affecting the cards on screen. Obviously, if you don't have any of your own cards out there, that one's gonna, you know, affect differently depending on those things. And Shield Maiden Wendy, even though she did get a buff, again, like I said, to her overall health, she still is not as good as even other legendary cards that are fighter cards within the game. I mean, I think Witch Doctor Token is much stronger than Shield Maiden Wendy right now, in my opinion, both in his, you know, basically his charge ability and his overall stats. Shield Maiden Wendy still needs some more love if you're going to want to see her as a legendary card being played, because her health is still, even with the buff, isn't enough. There are still significantly better options at a fighter position over Shield Maiden Wendy, and it's disappointing that Red Links continues to struggle at making her viable right now. I think, I mean, she was showcased in the last event for the girls, you know, dominant girl power girls event. But still, I mean, she was only used for that. I mean, I only see her played when there's an event that she is a card. You're not going to see her with most top tier, with any top tier legendary people using Shield Maiden Wendy. I don't see it. I've not seen it. I'm not in top tier. I'm in mid tier right now, as you can see. I mean, I'm not anywhere near top tier right now, but I don't see Shield Maiden Wendy unless it's an event card, because she's just not that good. So, you know, she just, I wouldn't use her personally. A lot of interesting changes to these tiers in all reality, as far as what they consider top tier, OP tier, things like that. But as far as the low tier cards, as you see, the low tier has gone down, and I think a lot of that is due to the fact that people are starting to level different cards and you're seeing more play of them. Like, I wouldn't consider Big Gay Owl, Officer Bar Brady, you know, in the lower, Mimsy were considered low tier cards. Dog Poo was considered a low tier card, because I think people are leveling them more. I think they're moving up the list to being considered more of a mid to top tier card. I mean, those cards that I just mentioned in the neutral theme are all considered mid tier cards. I think a lot of that, again, is probably just due to the fact this game has now been out 6 months longer. More people have invested more materials, more money, more things like that to level these cards up. So I think the low tier cards will eventually just succumb to the fact that these are just considered the worst cards in the entire game. And then some of the others will just, you know, just stay in that, you know, that'll just be what we consider low tier. It's not necessarily rate of play being low, but usefulness determining that tier. And then the other tiers will just be based on level of play, or how often they're used, or how many legendary, top tier legendary players have them. So that's, you know, as far as that is concerned, that's the main thing there with those. So, I mean, what do you guys think of all of these, you know, cards that are considered low tier cards? Do you agree, disagree with the list that I just mentioned? Again, there were some of them that I definitely disagreed with myself, as far as me considering them to be lower tier cards. But for the most part, I think a lot of these are rightfully in their right place as far as what you would consider that. But again, the low tier doesn't necessarily mean that they're the worst cards in the game. Some of them, I would say that. I would say, or I would list them in my least played or least valuable cards right now within the current game. But again, a lot of that is based on both the amount of time it's being used, how many people use them, and then how effective they really are. So, take this all with a grain of salt, guys. Again, this is just based on this is just a tier list based on somebody else's opinion that was posted on the spreadsheet based on data that they've collected from seeing other top tier legendary players play with these cards or their decks that they are playing with. So again, that is what this information is based off of. Not guaranteed fact to say that this is, these are the only low tier cards. These are just based on those two criteria, in case you guys are wondering. Thank you guys again for checking out this video. If there's any suggestions or videos that I have made in the past that you would like updated, whether it's meta, whether it's tier based, whether it's different things, let me know down in the comments section down below. A lot of your guys' opinion comments do affect and help me determine in some of the videos and content that I do create for the channel, because again, I want to make stuff that you guys are interested in seeing here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. If you want to, follow me on all these social media outlet platforms. All that information is down below. And until next time, guys, my name is Drewzy.